Hey, welcome to episode 20. This is the episode where we're going to paint the cab black for the second time. Gonna finally fix the rusty floors, and going to remove the bed for the first time. And we're going to fix the spare tire holder. We're going to take the inside, paint the inside front fenders, get those off and painted. Also going to do a mock-up of the rear coilovers. And we're going to introduce some other new parts, some more Z parts. What do you think about that, Amber? Excited? You going to help me? All right, so let's get to episode 20. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell and all that kind of stuff, so I can keep making more videos. All right, so I'm getting ready to paint the cab. I just put some Bond over these welded seams. And I already sanded that side. Looks pretty good. So I'm just gonna primer that. I think I'm gonna paint the interior black instead of white. This is what the floor looks like. So there's actually 2 plugs in each floor. So there's 4 floors. So still need to fix that hole. I got a couple of rust spots here and there. Like one here, one over there. Did I say this one? This one, that one. A big one there. But overall, and then I still don't know what these holes are. I think they're bullet holes. I don't know what they are. Some weird holes on either side. I don't think that's factory. Still debating whether or not to take out this bench seat bracket. It's gonna go to buckets eventually. And then I got these little, little clips. I guess the original carpet was actually clicked down. That's interesting. So they're using the modern day clips. So I guess I'll remove those. So I'll put sound deadener and all that stuff on here eventually. I think I'm just gonna paint the back wall black. The back wall up around this headliner and then the A pillars. Nothing else will be painted at this time. Let the doors eventually be painted black on the inside and white on the outside, because this is actually supposed to be body color. Door panel only comes up to here, so there's nothing here, so I might as well paint this black to match the dash. This is the first year of the black dash. Prior to this, 69 older was body color, which in this case was white, so it would have been white in 69. I think it'll look better all blacked out. I like black interior. White on the outside. Alright, so these headlight buckets, I found a 3D print file for a 510, because the ones on eBay for these things are not round, so I'm not going to buy them. They're only like $8, but they're not round, so I don't think they'll work. These are all round. So I found these on Amazon for like $9 for 30. I forgot what they're for. They're not a Nissan, they're for something else. I think it was for a Toyota or something. But they are 5mm on the inside. So in theory I could convert these round holes, all 8 of them, to square, pop these in. I'm still messing with my 3D printer. For some reason it's just not working to print those other ones in PLA. So worst case, we'll put these in there because they're all busted. The ones that weren't broken I drilled out, so they're all gone. Ooh, what's going on here? Hey, the dash is gone. Hey, look, it's black. Paint came out really good. I only got 1 coat of black. And I'm liking it. It's kind of dark in here, but I like it. What's that? I made a little jig for the center console. Just cut a piece of plywood, 8 3/4 inches, so I can get the 2 brackets the same. Made another one that welds to the crossbar. And I'll bolt to this, and I got to make another bracket that connects this to the one I put in the truck already. So that'll bolt. So I got to figure out a way to bolt that. No, actually I just need to weld this to the other one. The other one was already bolted. So this will be removable to get to the AC, right? Alright, so here I'm taking off the bed for the first time. I used the engine hoist and 4 chains just some cheap chain. I looped it around the engine hoist leveler thing. I just raised it up, and the hardest part is getting around the gas tank. Since the gas tank is mounted to the bed, it kind of gets stuck on the frame over there. It's definitely better to drop the gas tank first, but I didn't want to mess with that. I just put the gas tank back on. So I left the gas tank connected to the bed and raised it up anyways. This film is sped up a little bit. Alright, here's the first time I pulled the bed off. Hopefully the last time for a while. But yeah, I love that cab. It's such a crazy design. Somebody's already sanded it, so I'm going to throw some paint on that today, I hope. And put on the muffler, finish up the brake lines. Kind of big drive shaft. Gotta put the muffler on here so I can drive this thing. It was too hard to do upside down. Alright, the muffler is officially connected to the truck. I reused an old Nissan flange. I think this is from Sentra. Exhaust, I put some new cats on. I'm going to reuse that. This is an aftermarket flange. That's a factory flange. I think this will help me with the weird angle to get it to go down to the original exhaust. I'm liking it. I can see I've got this bend right on the hump, so I got a couple inches up travel before it hits. Hope it's enough. Okay, so there's two fuel lines. I think this one goes to the carburetor for the vent, and this one goes to the fuel tank, because this one goes to the right side of the frame where the fuel pump is. And then this is your brake line. That's all there is. There's three lines. Vent goes to the carburetor, fuel pump. And you got two wires. Looks like yellow and black. For the fuel sender. That's already been converted to brakes. A little rust in the floor here. So cut that out, replace it. So I found a little loophole in the design. There's a little shelf in here that was trapping dirt, and it was forcing dirt up against this wall, and it rusted out this wall. Now I got some pinholes in the rocker on both sides. It's really the only place really rusted the worst, other than the floorboard obviously. That's from the windshield leaking, I'm sure. So yeah, this thing is packed with dirt and rocks. Let me weld this up. Oh, I just checked. Yeah, this one's full of dirt too. It looks good, just starting to rust out, but there's like a hood scoop, a little scoop, and it's open from the front, so dirt can come in here and sit, and it can't get out because there's a little reinforcement bracket, probably for the seat. So it's just a little hood scoop. I can feel, put my finger in there, it's completely full of mud. So I need to get that out of there so it rusts out. I've only noticed like one little pinhole right here. Yeah, there is rust inside these rockers. So here's the flow here. This goes on here. So dirt gets in this little hole here, because this is a flat piece of steel, and it all is funneled up against this wall, and it sits up against this inner rocker, and basically rusts out until it put a hole in here. And then eventually this whole thing was packed with dirt all the way back. This whole thing, it's just a little cavity to store dirt. It can't go out the back. It's all because of this floor. So I think I may redesign this. Just put a flat piece of plate, flat, 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 flat. No more void. The other side I'll do it if needed, but and the best thing to do to get the rust out of here is this thing. I love this thing. So I can start making some plates. So I made some templates out of cardboard. And this is some old inner fender steel. I think it's the same thickness. Just made some. Cut them out with the old shears. Easy peasy. Just spraying the acid. It looks so much better. Let that sit. Do another coat. That acid stuff just gets rid of all that rust. So much better than the grinder does. I thought my little winch was broken. Wouldn't work. It was seized. I'm just going to try to take it apart. I just sprayed it with a little WD-40. Oh, this thing sounds great now. It's working again. It's a little sticky changing directions, but working one way, it sounds so fine. I don't remember my other ones that way. I'm going to change directions. I guess this cover comes off to oil it. But I just did literally 5 minutes of WD-40. Just going to let it sit overnight or something. But it worked within minutes. Couldn't believe that. I love these little winches. These things have always been good to me on all my trucks. I even put one of these on my very first trailer when I went for my Volkswagen Dubai. I put an 85 Nissan. I put 85 Nissan rims on it, went to the junkyard and bought some 720 wheels for it. And I bought one of these and put it on my trailer. Just so I could have a spare. Alright, the floor. Uh-oh. Got a little tin candy there. Need to fix that. Other than that, it is solid. How am I going to fix that? Alright, so I got the floor welded up. Let's see if this worked. Oh, that worked. Had a little bunging effect a minute ago. Cut and slot 2 inches, welded it back up. I welded up those bullet holes or whatever they were. Welded up the hole in the gas pedal, the other hole, found a couple of holes. Took these screws out, welded those up. I think I've got rid of all the major holes. I've got a shifter boot, column boot coming from a Z for the firewall. Tomorrow, I just went ahead and took out that fresh air vent so I have more room for heating and air conditioning and stereo. Made a plate. I just actually drilled a hole in the floor after I welded up all the holes. I drilled a big old hole so I could hose it out. I hosed it out for the first time ever. Got rid of all the dust so I can actually finish this floor and firewall, and then I can paint the second coat of black. I'll do the doors later. I got all the brake pedals hooked up. I actually got the brakes, started to bleed those. That's been fun. That's cool. It's got whatever that is, I can't see. Whatever PSI. It's been over an hour, maybe like 3 hours now. It's holding pressure. So that means I think I have no more leaks. I had a lot of leaks. This thing was leaking everywhere, all those new lines. So I think I've got all the leaks. I've only bled one caliper so far. Just took this fender off, sprayed it down with some acid a couple minutes ago, hosed it off, removed. Got 2 more broken bolts to deal with on that fender. Let's see. Hosed off this side, hosed off everything underneath. Here's this pretty cool little dash vent thing, which kind of a shame I can't use it. It's kind of cool, but I just don't need outside air, not that much. I don't know, it works perfectly. Still opens up this way and with the lever. But I think it's just going to be in the way of the air conditioning and the radio. So now I took it out and plugged it while I had the chance. It's looking pretty cool though. It's kind of weird though because the rear is ride height because the weight is on the jack stands. The front is full droop. So I need to take out the exhaust one more time and finish welding it because the muffler is on now. I think I showed that already. So I need to take out the exhaust and finish welding it. I think I might raise it up with the big quicklet jacks. I don't know. I did raise it up higher. Maybe I could probably get under there. I need to raise the exhaust though. The stock exhaust hangs down pathetically low. Look at that. That's like stock. I can't have that. I got to raise it up like a hard body. Tuck it up into the frame. So if I put the quick jacks under here, I don't know if I can get to that or not. I may just have to raise this thing up on my regular jack stands. I think that should be the next job. Get the exhaust figured out. So I took this fender off just so I could treat it and paint it from the inside. I just sprayed it down with acid. Yeah, somebody's been welding on this thing. There's a lot of weld on there. That's to plug up the holy, what do you call it? Antenna hole. Oh, there's the broken bolt. Just gotta drill that one out. One in the body and the one in here. Put the fender back on after I'll just paint the inside while I got it off. Alright, so it's pretty interesting. I think I got rid of some of the rust. Well, just made a jig for the window. I was all ready to paint the back of the cab. Took the bed off again. And there was a little pinhole in the back of the cab here. So I'll just weld it up. Grinded it down, weld it up. Caught on fire. There's a ton of Bondo. Somebody Bondoed over rust. So you couldn't even see it from this side because there wasn't a hole. I just pulled that out right now. The hole didn't even go all the way through because the hole was on this double layer, as you can see. I hope there's none others unless stuck like that. I don't think so. But so now I gotta fix this hole so I can paint. I was poking around, found a little bit more rust hole, so I started grinding. And look what I found in this corner. Just a big blob of Bondo. So I grind out the rust. And now I think it's finally good. I don't know why people would Bondo over a rust hole. I think it's just gonna come back. Yeah, look how thick their Bondo was. Now I gotta make a piece of steel for that. Patch this one most of the way. And then I noticed a little pinhole here and I just started chasing it with a grinder. This thing. I did a magnet test and it was actually still steel, but it was paper thin steel. It's all rusty. So now we'll fix that. It's all better. The bottom, these still holds as well. Got one coat of lacquer primer on. Found another dent. Couldn't even see it until I primered it. Had to relocate my brake line here. Kind of close to this bracket. So I want to have these coilovers. So I'm thinking there's enough room to get these 300X coilovers in here. Probably put an angle flat stock. I was thinking about using this thing. It's in the perfect location. Make some kind of adapter, like a Heim that connects to a plate that bolts to this. So some idea is to mount the shock on an angle because there's not a lot of travel. Considering that this shock is a full droop and the suspension is not, I think the length is probably perfect. Now obviously I can shorten that funky thing off if I need to, put a regular eye on there. So I think what I need to do is raise the rear end 1 inch and then support the frame, let the suspension droop, and mock this thing up. Figure out the top mount and get a regular eye for the bottom mount. Mount it on some link brackets. On this side, I think it'll go right around the exhaust. These things are heavy. Man, it's about perfect. Perfecto. I don't know if that's the right angle, but that's the first thing I'm going to try. Worst case, there's not enough spring rate. It would be too soft. So I could always add an airbag or something if I had to. Or we need to straighten them up. If I straighten them up, I could actually move the bracket over because I don't want to move the exhaust. Now if I move the top over, I'll hit the exhaust to make them straighter. But there's only like I think 4 inches of travel in here. So I don't think I want them straight up and down. Alright, so here's my new shifter boot. It's from a 370Z. I got it off eBay. It looked a lot smaller in the picture, to be honest with you. But it does actually fit. And if I just trim off this piece, it'll fit a lot better. But it actually fits as is. This hits the gas pedal, that needs to go. So my plan is to make an adapter to bolt this into the truck. Let's see why in a minute. So that's up. So now I gotta cut this inside out. This will just bolt on to this, and this will probably weld into the truck. Maybe bolt in. Probably welding. I think I may cut off this ear just to make it a little bit smaller. But I technically don't have to do any modification to it. It will fit. This steel thing may need a little trimming just to, it's a little close to stuff, but it actually fits as well. So I'm trying to think of how to cut this out. I think I may just cut a slit, cut it with the bandsaw, and weld the slit back up. Alright, here's the steering column brace and the center console brace. Well, not center console, whatever. Center rack brace. This bolts the tunnel. These bolt together using bib nuts, of course. And while I had it out, I welded it up a little better. Pull it on the back side, because all this time it was tacked. So now it's way stronger. Pull the back side of the column. I'm not going to paint it yet until I finish all the welding, because I want to mount more stuff off of this thing. But this is just the basic framework. It will obviously get trimmed down. This will probably get chopped down. Alright, so that's what it looks like with the crossbars installed. Why did I get in front of the light? It still goes this way, but it doesn't go up and down anymore. So I may put a brace from here to here. From here to here to keep it from going, but it's nice and strong now. So now I'm trying to get the steering column mount figured out. Well, I should say this 370Z beast fits in here quite nicely. I chopped off the bolt here is the only modification, but oh, that's not true. I drilled another hole here. I was like, why am I going to cut this off? It seems like a waste to cut that off since it does clear. I just remember why. Because remember, I'm mounting this in a V. So if I cut that off, it would be much better. So let's cut that off. And it's already easier to get into this tight space. I gotta try to figure out, oh my gosh, something like that. That would be funny if it's, yeah, it looks like, I think it'll work. I think I'm gonna have to space it out a little bit. Who knows, I don't know what angle. Yeah, I don't even think I need to cut that off. This thing actually does clear, but I think it'd be easier to work with that eye chopped off. Okay, this ain't gonna work. I just got the column in and the shaft in here, and there's a little clearance issue between the brake pedal and the boot. So I'm gonna have to get a smaller one or chop this up. Since I got it and it was cheap, I think I'm gonna cut it up. So I can move this outlet farther down, push it against the wall, see if that'll work. Alright, after a little trimming, I cut it in half, removed a bunch of rubber, and bolted it back together. So now it fits really good, but I think I'll put some shoe glue or something in here later, just to make it airtight. I want to put this second layer on, which is probably overkill. But I don't know if I'll be able to. I have to cut this thing down. Yeah, that's maybe tricky. This is actually really thick, so hopefully this works. Alright, so I had to make a new plate. This one, the hole's in the wrong place, and this hole is too big, so just went ahead and made a new one. So here's my new one. I made the hole, I think, a 2-inch hole. Also added a, move this hole down a little bit because it was a little too close to the firewall. So that's trash. And I got some bigger 6mm bolts. So I made a new hole in here. I moved it from here to here to here. So now it should feel a lot better. So now the next step is just weld it in the truck. Just take the steering column out again. Just took the gas pedal out. I'm not gonna bother taking out the pedal again. Gas pedal, I mean. Should probably clean up that hole. Looks pretty nasty. The idea is to weld this on top of there and then put two sides on it. The top will weld the top, the bottom will weld the bottom. I just made little triangles for the two sides. Stitch them in. Don't need to fully weld this. I'm gonna seam seal all this stuff. Here's my templates I made. I used 2 pieces of cardboard, one on each side, and then I stuck them together and made a nice triangle. So that's all welded. And then I was looking around for an inside diameter of this. It's like 32 1 1/4 inches. Just looking around some scrap pipe. Found 4 feet of this in my shed. I have no idea where I got this steel, what it's from, but it's pretty much the right size. Now, assuming I could stick this, I haven't tried this yet, but I'm assuming this is bigger than the column, and I could shoe this onto the actual shaft. Okay, good. I think it needs to go right around there or something. And hopefully I can glue that on there with some epoxy or shoe glue or something. Technically I could weld it, but it'll be tricky. And then I could even like wrap electrical tape and slide this on or whatever. And this will give me a pretty damn good seal. Floor's all done. I don't know if you can see that or not. Just welded that. Stinks in here. So yep. Alright, so here's my little shifter boot. I've got it bolted together, but I just had some little tiny gaps on the top and the bottom, so I filled it up with a shoe glue or E6000. I flipped it over the other day. I've got it on the other side, and I flipped it over and let it sit for a couple hours. Now I'm doing a second coat on here, trying to get this thing like as airtight as possible, because the exhaust is on the other side of this. I don't want all that heat, and if there's any smoke or burning off the exhaust, I don't want all that junk coming in my cab. So trying to get this thing as sealed as possible. So I love this stuff. Should work. It's EPDM rubber. So we'll put that on as soon as it's dry. I don't know how well you can see, but this thing is solid now. Put a thick piece of plate, my nutserts. I kind of spot weld it all the way around here. I think I videoed it, I forget. I just, I was gonna say shoe glued, but it's, what do you call it? Seam sealer all around the new steel. I just seam sealed all the way around here. Hopefully that'll be airtight enough. So hard to tell with this black stuff if I missed a spot. Still need to try to figure out how to get a rubber boot from my parking brake. A new one, that's gonna be fun finding one of those. I guess I can put the pedals back in. This thing is done. I gotta repair from the other side. But yep, looking good.